4% number. That number's published every month, and you can pick it out whenever you set those salaries. I think, and then I think merit raises over and above that are fine, but I think you ought to tie your cost of living raises to some number. And I think the CPI is the best way to do that. So just throw that out there.
We did talk about that in the negotiation. I think we recognized it was like 2.5, 3 is where the CPI was. Joel and I had had some conversations prior to meeting with the union reps that the city's wages overall seem to be sort of low in comparison to like the state, the county. We even have some interlocal agreements with some entities that are actually paying, probably paying at a better rate right now than we, the city, are, and we're contributing to those budgets. So I guess Joel and I were talking about what to do about that, you know, how to kind of catch up and be a little more competitive. Because the last thing we want is to be losing our valued employees elsewhere just because we're a little behind. And so we talked about maybe trying to propose a jump or an increase to catch up, and then, I don't know, the more we visited with the reps, we kind of settled on a higher percentage this year to maybe try to make up a little bit of ground, knowing that each year thereafter that might not always be the case. So, but yes, I agree with you. I think it should be tied to
Yeah, me too. And yeah, I think we looked at this as a one-time thing just to try to make a little bit of catch up. But I agree with you on that CPI. And I think that's pretty much what the union came in at this year. And we went a little above that in our recommendation. And then in the past, this has been set ahead of time, but with the new contract, we'll set it each year. So we can propose that as each year.
So I'm looking back on your last 4 years, it's been about 2.5%.
We've done 3 and 4 typically with
Okay,
a
I see
1%
3.
merit.
I'm looking at your tab on the top, 3, 2, 3, 2 is what it says.
And then we've added a 1% merit on top of it.
Okay.
So overall, it
So it'll be
ends
about
up being
3.5.
3 to 4 usually. Otherwise, the changes really were fairly minor. I mean, I guess we talked about the retirement. That was the other big change. Right now, the way the retirement works is that you're eligible right away, you're fully vested within a year, but it's a scaled percentage based off of years of service on your match level. I guess what we're moving to, or what we're proposing to move to, is just a 6% match right out the gate, but you're not fully vested until year 3, so kind of a reverse of the current policy in a way.
Yeah, they said ours was a little different than most cities, so we thought, well, maybe we should do mine a little different.
It probably administratively is a little bit easier, and where you're not fully vested until year 3, I think there are instances where I don't know that the city is really adding any huge risk on there from the policy that we currently have.
Was there anybody local as part of the negotiations, or was it all just from the AFL-CIO that came in and negotiated on their behalf?
Yeah, a 2 from the union. We didn't have a local foreman or anything.
They could come if they wanted, couldn't they?
In years past, actually, we typically have had someone from the staff there as well. But. And the union agreement really does cover eligibility-wise. It covers everyone except for myself and Brad Miller. Under the 2 exclusions from the contract. Because we are administrative or superintendent type positions. Questions?
Anybody want to entertain a motion to approve the agreement?
I move that we approve the agreement between the City of Ainsworth and local union 1597 International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, AFL-CIO, effective October 1st, 2024, running through September 30th, says 28, is that correct?
It's 4 years.
Okay.
Second thing.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Call roll.
Brad,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Moving on to the regular agenda, we'll go back to our budget, which requires the approval of an ordinance to adopt the 23-24
No,
budget.
Not that one. Did you catch?
Oh, 24-25.
oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Well, the second one says.
I switched it this morning when I saw it. I gotta check.
Thank you. Seems like every year that I get caught up on something like that. Yeah, 24, 25.
What does the ordinance say?
October 1st, 24. That's right.
It does say 24.
All right, the ordinance is correct.
You didn't email me that.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 1561 to adopt the 2024-25 budget.
Second.
Motion and a second, any other discussion?
Do we need to have that
Waive
waive in the same motion, or?
And I'll waive the 3 readings.
Is that the second include? Waiving the 3 readings? All right, everybody clear? Go ahead and call the roll.
Kent,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
So the budget was adopted unanimously. Now we'll consider a resolution to set the 24-25 tax request.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 24-6 to set the 24-25 tax request and to waive. We need to waive that? No, it's not voted on.
Second.
Motion and a second, any other discussion? Call roll.
Dustin,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
All right, tax request is approved unanimously. Next on the agenda is to consider approval of an increase total restricted funds by an additional 1%.
Right, so the additional 1% really is just, we talk about this every year, it just grants base authority of that additional 1%. So for example, if something catastrophic or terrible happens, you have a tornado go through town or something, it just gives you that little bit more authority to react quickly, to respond to those issues. And I guess in all the years that I've been here, we've adopted it, we've never used it. Even in 2019 for flooding, we did not use it. So it is just kind of an emergency precaution. It also kind of builds our base of restricted funds authority over time. So when you factor in your growth, it does aid the city under the current weight restrictions. So I would recommend you approve it just for those reasons, not that we are necessarily intending to call upon it.
What figure is that based on?
What's that?
What figure is that based on?
The 1%?
Yeah,
It's on your total restricted funds.
I understand that, but what was the figure that you used to increase it, that 1%?
It's your restricted funds, it's on your restricted funds schedule,
Okay,
so I have to look back
I was just kind of curious how much is
at
there.
how much it
Yeah.
is.
mhm.
I'll give you a minute.
I know it always gets approved, and I was just kind of curious what kind of money we're talking about.
Mhm.
It builds up over time.
Yeah, I understand that.
I don't keep that schedule on now.
Okay, that's okay, I'm just curious. I mean, is it hundreds of thousands, or is it 20,000, or?
I think the schools is 700 and some thousand.
Is it?
That there's past Monday, so
I see.
money they could have taxed for in June.
I see.
Basically, but if in that year,
Yeah,
they would have a major thing happen. The next year, they could tax that amount
Yeah,
and not be over
it like adds
their,
it back onto
Yeah.
your.
as a one-time deal.
authority.
I see.
So over time, it grows that authority level
Yep.
versus if you didn't approve it.
Okay.
Have to research it.
No, it's-
Yeah, that page 12 doesn't give you what your actual built-up
No.
restricted funds authority is, does it?
It does not, yeah, and like I said, I don't necessarily keep that scheduled in the office either.
Right, some of the other budgets we do list that, they list that out typically on that same page, at page 12, where it's talking where you're doing the allowable growth percentage plus your 1% restricted funds. I don't know if that number, you're right, I don't know if I actually saw the number either.
Either way, I can sure find it and let you know.
I just am curious what kind of money we're looking at.
Well, they're only creating $2,846 in unused budget authority for next year, but it doesn't tell you what their
What
total.
the growth is over time.
So they're only adding $2,800 to that,
Gotcha,
whatever it was
gotcha.
before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, does that include the 1%? This 1% you're voting on, the 28.46?
I don't think so. 1% would be
And
additional.
on top of that.
Well, to me, again, this is one of those budget things that's, provides you a little protection, but what really matters is what you spend in the end, not what you have authority to do. But it's good to have that authority if you have to.
I'll make a motion to increase the total restricted funds by additional 1%.
Second.
Motion and second, any other discussion? Call roll.
Doug,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. And on with some more budget-related things. Consider a resolution amending the fee schedule.
So every year we do the budget, we do kind of review the fee schedule too, just to see if anything needs some attention. We are proposing some adjustments under equipment rental. These really haven't been adjusted in years. So I had Jade look them over. These are Jade's recommendations based off of, I guess, what he felt was appropriate with the current equipment we have and considering gas maintenance, repair, all of that. So we have a couple of changes here, the loader, the patrol, the skid loader, the dump truck, the painting machine, cans of paint. I just put that at current pricing because we oftentimes have different entities needing some good marking paint, and so they'll contact us. If we have extra cans, we'll sell them what we got. So just to charge them what we paid seems like it makes sense. So we don't want to shortchange ourselves and set a rate that, ends up being more than that is what our cost is. And then the only other proposed changes are to the gym rental. It's $250 per day right now. We're proposing $500 a day, and the mat pickup fee of $100. And a lot of that is just actual cost recovery. When we rent that facility out, it's usually on a Friday or Saturday. You have to put the mats down, to protect the floor, and so then the mats have to be picked up really before you can open the facility back up. And it takes about 3 guys and 1 to 2 hours to do that. And so on a Saturday or Sunday, you're paying all overtime for all those guys.
Yep.
And it's just, right now, because we're not really cost recovery on that, we tend to leave the facility locked all weekend, which also has, you know, there's some residents who don't appreciate that like to walk and like, oh, and use the wellness room and, so anyway, that's, I guess that is the reason for those proposed changes.
But then you're taking out the deposit.
Correct.
Why?
Because we haven't really been charging the deposit, I guess, at the end of the day. We typically haven't had issues. The Bulldog Booster event, we had an issue where the mats were damaged. Somebody actually physically cut the mat out of the doorway instead of trying to take it down. And so, you know, the mat's what, $1,500 for a new mat, so $300 wouldn't touch that anyway.
Yeah, but if it happens 3 or 4 times, it could come close to covering that.
Do they sign up with liability without a deposit? Do they sign if they liability on a form that if they damage anything, they can be charged for it, or?
They don't.
Okay.
I don't know, I mean, we can leave the deposit if you want to leave the deposit. It's just,
If we don't have the deposit in there, they just go like.
I'd like to see the deposit left in there.
I think if we kind of got a safety net to
that's fine. I mean,
take care of it a little bit better.
That's
No,
the
they're
first,
gonna get their money back, they're gonna.
in the 9, 10 years, whatever I've been here, actually, it's the first time that anything like that has ever happened, so.
But when you look at the expense you're just talking about, you know, if you have to replace that mat now, you're at $1,500.
Are they gonna make you whole on that, or are we out?
I'm
be
in
determined.
conversations with
To
them
be
about it.
determined. Have we checked with other communities, make sure we're kind of in line with all these fees?
I have not, I guess I did. We were just going off of what our time and costs are.
Maybe next year when we can, maybe just check, make sure we're kind of in line with everybody else.
Police on all the equipment rentals, do you guys only do that on a last resort basis, like there's no private? In case there's no private contractor that can do this for them, the city's the only one that has, let's say it's a paint striper or whatever. I don't imagine, does it get utilized very frequently?
No, not really, and all of our equipment rentals are manned by city employees. We don't allow other people to run our equipment, so it's
Gotcha.
cost plus labor.
So you'd only be doing that in cases such as, okay, they gotta dig under a street,
Correct.
repair something, contractor doesn't wanna do it, city comes in,
Yep,
digs up the street, charges based on that level.
yep.
When we built the Fireplace building, we had to have them grind out some curbs, so we can,
Gotcha.
that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not opposed to bringing this mat fee up, because if they're doing it after hours, I just don't think that bringing it to $500 a day is, I think that's a little high for a public building. I mean, is that, what do you charge, you're not charging the schools or anything this, or any like nonprofits, $500? It'd be like-
We don't charge the school, because we already have the facilities use agreement with them, so for prom and all those things, that, I guess we have considered that part of their $6,000 that they pay us every year for the facility.
So it'd be like your Pheasants Forever,
Pheasants
your Bulldog
Forever.
Pride,
Chamber,
okay, Chamber Town.
you know, auctioneers, if they ever want to use the facility for any length of time.
But for the most part, it's those organizations, those 3 organizations.
I mean, like, what
And
about?
I mean, we could keep it the way it is, it's just, you know, I mean, that's just up to you guys, it's just our proposal to try to cost recover.
I mean, if the booster is just trying to raise money, but they're not really, you know, they're kind of a nonprofit, I don't think we should be charging $500. I mean, pretty much they do everything for the school and.
So
But
you're
even-
advocating
even if we
difference
left
between
our-
private and public?
Yeah, so I like, I can see if they're, you know, if they're like Fence Forever or something like that, trying to, or some kind of auction service or something that's making money on the deal, but like the boosters and the NCDC or whatever you're just listed, the nonprofit, they're trying to put on events here to raise money for the community. I don't feel that we should be charging them $500.
a split fee, $250 for the city type affiliation, nonprofit, $500 for private.
I'd be up for that. But how, would that be hard to differentiate between those two, or that? I don't want it to come down on you and be like, oh, you know, you didn't charge these guys, and charge us.
Well, how about you just make it non-profit, or if somebody like wants to throw a wedding reception.
Right, like some of
Private.
it, yeah. Well, what's
Wedding
that?
reception is non-profit for the father of the bride.
Depends on if bars cash or restricted to an amount. How bad that gets.
I think that would probably, I mean, that should be doable
Yeah,
administratively,
I was gonna say
nonprofit
it's
versus others.
difficult, I guess, for
Yeah.
us, that we typically know whether or not they're not.
I agree, we should leave the gym deposit and start using that.
And then if you
Well,
wanna make
so
a-
maybe, maybe you wanna up the deposit? Because we only keep the deposit if there's damage, otherwise we return the deposit. So maybe you just wanna increase the deposit amount then.
So you don't wanna do a fee and a deposit, is what you're saying?
Well, yeah, I mean, I could just, where you wanna keep the deposit, and we're kinda talking about cost recovery and if there's damage, you know, maybe you just wanna, maybe you wanna keep the rent per day the same, but you make the deposit higher? I don't know.
Well, your other option is instead of doubling your per day fee to $500, lower that to say $325, $350, raise it something, because it does cost more to put the mats down and that type of thing, but.
If we didn't have to do the mats, it wouldn't be near as big, it would be,
But most events like that, you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna protect your gym floor.
Yeah, well, we really don't have any time that we can't at this point, because the school's been refinishing the floor now in the spring, so, which actually is nice, we prefer it that way, because it gets so stinky in here. We can have the windows open in the spring, so there really is no time in which the mats don't have to go down.
So do you gentlemen think the deposit should be more?
Or just start collecting it anyway.
I think to start collecting.
And would it make sense, when you collect that deposit, to have a one-page liability waiver that they have to sign that says, in a case where you do damage something that's in excess of the deposit, that you will be charged for it, and just have
Might be a
them,
good
make them
policy.
sign that liability
You
waiver.
want that as part of your motion?
Especially if it's something like
350.
physically,
Okay.
Because if there's no damage, you give them the
Yeah,
deposit
we
back.
don't-
just don't cash
we
the
don't-
check.
Right, yeah,
What's that?
Tear the check out.
yeah.
Oh.
But a liability,
So-
liability form might
I'm
be.
gonna move that we approve resolution 2407, amending the city of Ainsworth fee schedule with the following changes: that gymnasium rentals $250 for nonprofits per day, $500 for private, and we add a liability waiver, leaving all other proposed fees as listed.
And have a deposit.
Yeah, it's already on there. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, it said remove, so leave the deposit at 300. That makes sense, Lisa?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Everybody clear on it? Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Brad,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Doug.
Yes.
All right. Good discussion. Next on the agenda, we got Brittany Cohen here from NPPD.
Hello.
I didn't hardly see you hiding there tonight.
Wow.
Okay, now what was
Even a
it?
little late.
What was the last time we had you here, you had to sit through a whole long, work around. I mean, I wanted to have you first
That was
tonight, but we.
brutal.
That's okay. I ran into the same thing in Bassett. There's a lot of that stuff going on that time of year. I got in on it at Hartington too, so it was okay. It's all right. It's nice to hear about those things sometimes. But the reason I'm here this evening is to have you consider an ordinance for a franchise agreement. A lot of people think that the pro agreement that you have all signed and the franchise agreement are the same thing, but they're actually two different things. The pro agreement is the professional retail operating agreement, and what that does is governs the lease. So we lease your system from you. So that pro agreement governs that lease. What a franchise agreement does is allows us to build, operate, and maintain facilities on your property. So essentially like a right-of-way. We do ask for about a 25-year term, but it's whatever you're comfortable in signing. It is a non-exclusive agreement, so we're not saying that you can't have anyone else in here doing anything else on your system, because you absolutely can. So there's very low risk for you to sign that long-term agreement. It really just depends on how often you want me to come and talk about it and do it for you. There's a lot of things that, you know, the notice in the paper and the things that we have to have for documentation on it. So with that, I would just ask for your consideration to sign the franchise agreement. It was signed 5 years ago. I'm not sure why you guys did a 5-year term, but again, it's whatever you're comfortable with. And I'm not sure if it was just someone's opinion, or I don't know. I don't know the basis behind that, but.
I was trying to remember that
That's
myself, and
probably the only one here.
I was thinking that it was just the long-term agreement, just.
Everybody was uncomfortable with the long-term agreement at that time, and
How long have we been with NPPD?
And your pro agreement runs for another 18 years. So I just, but again, it doesn't have to expire then, it doesn't have to be that length, it does not have to, it can be whatever you're comfortable with. I will come back as often as needed, I have no issue with that, but it's just how often you really want to do it. But if you're not comfortable with that long term, but again, with that non-exclusive agreement, really you can continue to have, you know, if you want somebody like an IES to come in and do lighting for you, that's perfectly fine. It's your
Do
system.
most communities match those up?
Well, we try, but then there's always something like an amendment or something in there, yeah. So, yeah, but you absolutely could, if you wanted to do it to expire at the same time as your pro agreement, we could write her for 18 years and we can do it then, but, yeah. I personally, just my opinion, would love to see it incorporated into the pro agreement, so it's the same thing, but I don't know, we'll have to work on that before.
Is that a choice on your end or our?
I think probably ours when we're writing it, or it's something you could probably request, and then
Tell your lawyers.
I would really be forced to look into
Tell your
it.
lawyers to work it out, we'll see you in 18 years.
Yes, but that's why I'm here, so if you just would consider that. And if you have any questions, sure, take them.
So do we have an ordinance in front of us, Lisa? It's just be next time.
Be for next month, probably.
Then you'll see me next month.
And your recommendation is the 25 years, that's what NPPD proposes to everybody?
That's what we do propose to everyone, but again, when I saw yours was 5, I thought, oh geez, did we mess up? Is it really 25? And there's a typo? And then I was like, no, everything is matching up, and I thought, well, there must be a reason. But I didn't have a history. When I said something to Lisa, it is what it is.
So you're keeping a franchise agreement, I don't even know what it is.
The
I don't
franchise
have a copy
agreement
of
is
it or
just,
anything.
it just says that they have the right to do work and be in our right of way, basically. We have other franchise agreements with Black Hills Energy, with Three River. Anybody really who has a utility in the city right of way, we have a franchise agreement with.
And so a lot of people think, well, isn't that the same thing as the pro agreement, the agreement that we signed? But that really just governs the lease around it that says we pay the 12% and that we, that you guys have the rights to do all these other things. So they are separate agreements for now. So.
I think we ought to discuss it and try to do about 18 years and try to get it set up with the pro agreement, so then when it all comes back, it's just, both of them are together.
And I can certainly look and get the date of the expiration, or I can look and fire that off to you in the morning, Lisa, if you want to, so that if you're going to do it, if we're gonna write the ordinance for that time, at least it'll be correct. Okay? All right.
How long are some of our other franchise agreements?
A lot of them are that 20, 25 years, it seems like, and I feel like could it be, does it sound right to you that 5 years ago, was NPPD adding a bunch of infrastructure somewhere east where you were having to take it out?
It didn't have to do with the solar farm, did
And
it?
you were wanting like commitments from communities so that you could justify that investment in their infrastructure. I feel like that was part of the presentation, but I don't know if that was for the pro agreement or the franchise agreement.
I'm not sure either, but I'm not exactly sure. But I know that some people have amended their term to sign the enhanced pro agreement. I mean, I know that. We went in front of people, but I think that's been more than 5 years ago with that enhanced pro, which gives you guys the right to increase that lease payment from 12 to 12.5%, up to 14% once a year for that time if you so choose. It gives you the option to waive or I guess take away the municipalities so that we have a miscellaneous municipal rider for people who get more than 50% of their funding from state or local taxes. They get a 33.33% discount on their power, and the city agrees to waive the lease payment. They still pay gross revenue tax, but the city does not get lease payment from those entities, like the school, for example. They're a big one. So if you sign the enhanced pro, you can increase the lease payment, and if you so choose, say, okay, school, you will now pay a lease payment. Now, if you do that, city too will pay a lease payment, because it's everybody who pays the miscellaneous municipal rate. However, you get yours back every month. They wouldn't. A lot of towns just stay away from that because of the relationships that they have with the schools and the tax base and all those other things that go along with that. But some towns have actually implemented that. You wouldn't have to, but that's one of the things you could have from that enhanced pro. So, and if you're ever interested in that, of course, we can talk about that, but yes, that's what I remember several years ago, but 5 years, I can't tell you. Sorry.
I have a hard time sometimes remembering like this.
Well, I can see why. I think we're all human, right? Yes. But anyway, if there's no questions, I'll.
In some of those agreements, there's a clause where either party can get out of that contract. Is that anything part of that franchise agreement?
I am not 100% sure if it is or if it isn't. It's like an 11-page agreement. Mainly because of the attachments we asked the city to put in, and I just do not have it memorized. But I don't know that it says that we can terminate it, but yes, I believe you could anytime. It would probably mean that you're terminating your pro agreement also, which would mean you're giving us notice and basically taking away the right to operate, and then all rights to build, operate, and maintain.
And that is part of the pro agreement, then there is a.
The pro agreement you can absolutely get out of. You have to give a 5-year notice, but yes.
Gonna start a public power company or power company in your retirement?
Doug's just asking the question.
That was discussed back in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, about moving away from NPPD, and there's a general uprising.
No, we haven't raised rates in 10 years.
Well, not only that, but
We have pretty good public power.
yeah, there's the occasional squirrel giving you an outage, but that's about it.
Yeah, they're very good in this area.
Yeah.
Then you have to revisit that union agreement also.
And buy a decent bucket truck.
So Lisa, are you needing a motion?
I don't, that's up to you guys, because we didn't have a copy of it in the packet, so if you want to see it before we vote on it.
Then we can just decide next month the terms.
Would you be willing to forward me a version that has that termination that we proposed?
The 18 years.
Yes.
And then we can have that up for vote next.
Absolutely, I can forward that on, a copy with that in there, yes. Yes, I can absolutely do that.
And then that way you
Let's
can
have it
consider the
separate.
language.
I think so too. I think we should always try to sync them up, but then about the time you go out for an amendment, then it's like, well, geez, do you have them redo that too? Or, how does all that work? So I understand why it happens, but yeah, when I saw it, it was strange that it was 5 years, and I thought, well, there has to be a reason. We just don't know what it is, so. It's all right, we can make our own rules, right? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brittany, down both, are you a Koenig or a Koenig?
I'm a Koenig.
Koenig, thank
Yes,
you. I
yes.
just want to make sure I get it right.
sure you read it right.
So back in the nineties, were they talking about rehabbing the Plum Creek Power Dam?
No, I don't remember, that's a long time ago, but I don't remember the whole reason behind it, that there was,
Well, doesn't Valentine do it?
yeah, Valentine does.
I think that was
That could
some
have
of the
been it.
conversation.
Yeah, I don't know when things were started with NPPD. We moved here in '84 and, you know, it was NPPD before then.
All right, thanks, moving on. I'm gonna just discuss the park board suggestions for the Legion baseball field. Cody, you first?
A couple weeks ago, or basically about a day after you guys' last month's meeting, was approached by a few people that they wanted to see the Legion field being used for something. And so they were just kind of maybe thinking that maybe we could propose something to the city. I actually went to Joel and kind of asked him, my thought was to go to the city, publicize that we wanted to do maybe some changes to the Legion field and get feedback before we even thought about it, because if the feedback was 60-40 that nobody wanted to do it, there's no reason to have this meeting. Talked to Lisa, Lisa said, that's not how it works. So she says, come to the meeting, so here I am. So we discussed, basically what's happening here is you guys have been out by the Legion field, I expect. You've seen it. The people that we talked to would like to have it as a multi-purpose field. Basically, what that means is making it a dirt infield instead of a grass infield. Yes, I know there are sprinklers there, and that's why, I mean, there's a lot that may go into this. But we were here, what, a year ago, talking about not enough baseball fields, and then, of course, we didn't have enough kids go out. Not, you know, we're having softball tournaments now, and then they're playing on a small field and everything like that. With a multi-purpose field, basically you could have base pads for t-ball, little league, extend them out to softball, and then out to your Legion. And so basically, that's basically what they were asking, and you know, it's just trying to get that field used again. So I know there's people here that I'm sure would like to comment, and I'm here for all comments of any type. I mean, it's not tearing down the Legion field or anything like that. We also have a soccer team in the state of Nebraska, a team here. They play on some dirt and some grass. I mean, if it was a possibility to bring in the outfield with a little bit more grass, then they would have a full field.
So they try to use the outfield, just doesn't fit their
Yeah,
rectangle.
right.
They're using it now, but.
They're using it now,
Probably
but
don't
yeah.
care.
Can't quite get it to fit in.
Right. But that was the main concern, I mean, that was the main thing, hey, we want to bring money in, bring in some softball tournaments. I know Sean has done a great job bringing those in, but then they play on a small field, and about every other pitch goes out of the park, and it's not softball.
Is there other communities that have an all-purpose that actually play Legion, if they had a Legion team, play on a dirt infield?
Oh, a lot of them used to, I don't know if they are now, I can't tell you that, Brad.
Brad, it was about half and half. I mean, this
Is
is
it-
20-some years ago, it was about half and half when we played. The nicer places all had grass, but there were a lot of places. we
If you wanted to
had
host
dirt in.
districts like we did,
Yeah.
you would have the field that we had.
Yeah.
But I don't see us
Without a team?
in the near future hosting a districts, and I would say 10 years.
When's the last time we had a Legion team?
I can't tell you that.
5 or 6
I
years.
know,
ago.
4 or 5
We put-
years.
Yeah, we put one together a few years
What year,
ago.
Joe?
2018.
Lennon was a freshman, I think, when that was the last.
So basically, you know,
Hasn't been used really
It's a
since
junior.
2018 for a while, yeah.
so we just want public comment. Like you said, I know it's awesome because when I worked for the city when I was a young kid, we chalked it ourselves, we drug it ourselves, we watered it ourselves, and now it's great that it has sprinkler system out there so that we can keep it green and mow it. But basically, we're just looking at, you know, basically really a lot of comment. You know, there's a lot of memories out there. I got a lot of memories out there. I mean, you read the stone outside, and you know, there's a lot of memories there. But just instead of sitting there, you know, kind of maybe turning it into, you know, just like your gymnasium here, it can be used for basketball, it can be used for volleyball, somebody can use it for dance, it can be used for a lot of things in here, just looking to get it used. Is the main, that's what they came to us with, is let's use it, so.
Yeah, I can see it used other than, I know a lot of times you see people running their dogs and stuff in there, and I don't really wanna see it used for that.
Well, I don't want them in the softball field either, but not all the gate, I mean, there's an opening in there, and there's an opening at the little fields too, so yeah.
It looked like
Totally.
maybe the junior high football team was practicing in the outfield today when I went on.
They were, that's where they practiced.
So it is being used kind of as a multi-purpose already, except for the infield.
Heard a lot of softball getting played, that makes sense.
We got another
It's a
tournament
nice-
coming up in
It's a great
October.
field if you can use it.
Makes
It's
sense
just a
to use it for
fantastic
multiple
field.
things. And I'm assuming it's gonna cut down maintenance.
Yeah, like I said, my main thing is I wanted comments from the, you know, from the public, first of all. You guys also would have, you know, I mean, the thing is, okay, there's underground sprinklers, now how do we take care of that? What's the cost gonna be and stuff like
I
that?
don't, I'm not, that shouldn't be that, you just screw the head out, go down and cap that riser where it comes out.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know.
You might wanna make a
Map
map.
it,
so
map it.
You wanna
So-
map it.
So did you decide to go back? I mean, that's one thing. I mean, this is not something
Yeah.
you couldn't
Not
change.
permanent.
Is there any-
Well,
JC's got a question.
Yeah, I think it's good you came,
Not
this is
so
the
much
way to
a
start the
question.
conversation. I'm sure it was hard for the park board to even think about that. Like you
Right.
said, you all probably have a lot of memories, but this is a good way to start the conversation and see where it leads. What do you got, Jim?
Somewhere in the building here, when we first put the first two sprinkler systems in, we have a map. It all mapped out there. Ray, who did the work, has that. It should be here in the building, which gives us an idea, because back at the time when we put that in, the majority of the people who were doing the sprinkler work used smaller heads, so, which has changed now. Now they go to the bigger ones because there's less sprinkler heads, but, because there's like 110 or 12 sprinklers, I believe, on that Legion Field and outlying area. So, you know, if and when it does come to that, you know, we need to be cognizant of that too, because that gets, believe me, that gets pretty spendy pretty fast, having to replace, you know, if we start knocking out heads and stuff like that, so. I just wanted to throw that out there so that
So
everyone.
how many heads are on the infield?
Hmm?
How many heads are there on the infield? Sprinkler heads?
On the infield?
Yeah.
Well, it starts right there along the backstop, and
I mean,
the
just,
first four sections of it are from the backstop out to, I believe, where the red dirt ends out there on the field. You know, there's at least 4 sections. I'm not sure how many sprinklers are in each section, but probably 8 to
that's it.
10.
You've never set one up like that.
Like I said, a lot, you know, that was back when a lot of the guys who were still doing it, they were more into control on the water as opposed to now it's, you know, get as much water pumped and going as you can. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's, you know, that's just the way it was at the time.
And again, the dirt part would be basically on the inside of the field. I mean, what's grass now would stay basically grass unless it was to bring in the outfield a little bit for the soccer team.
The outside of the baseline will still stay grass, right?
Yep.
How much would the outfield have to grow to accommodate soccer?
I'd have to go, in fact, I don't think it's actually big enough the way it is, but that is the only place that they have found to play. Because we don't have any other places that the city has that's big enough to.
So the football practice field, that's not big enough.
I don't know how that works, I just know they've moved over to the baseball field, I don't know that. I see Mark here. Mark, your family did a lot of free hauling red dirt for the baseball field. What do you think?
I hate to see it get tore up, for
sure.
What's that?
Hate to see any get tore up. But, can they retrofit without tearing the grass out? Can they have them play, just set their bases for Little League and softball? Second base would be in the grass, basically, is all it'd be.
Well, you'd probably be running dirt grass.
Just probably take the mound out, probably, yeah. Leave it as grass. I mean, I'd rather slide to the second base on grass than with dirt anyway, but
Yeah, I think a lot of it too has to do with the mound.
the mound, that'd be an easy fix.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I said, that's why I wanted public comment a lot more than just a couple people.
Yeah, what do you guys see as the future of baseball? I mean, and I'm a baseball fan, I love it, I played it all the time, all summer when I was a kid, but what do you,
Just the way through.
2018 was the last time we had a team?
They're just the younger kids, I see the trend, it's going down every year, numbers wise.
But if we don't have a Legion team, the ones below, there's nowhere to go, so that's the point. COVID took it out, I mean, it just did, that just took it out completely. Mark, as well as myself, we ran out pretty hard. You know, we had districts every other year, we had state 1 year. If I was in charge, there'd be a Legion team today, because you gotta have someone that's gonna run it. You can't just have people walk in and be a part of it. Legion, the Elks, and the city would always fight as far as who was gonna pay for what. Mark and I know that we owed a lot of checks out on accounts. For coaches, for dirt, a lot of things. We paid, borrowed, and steal to make it happen. And then when it goes away, everyone wants to know what happened. Well, that's what happens. And so we're all at fault. I personally hate to see how the field looks as it is. I know we put a lot of money into the host state baseball, put a new scoreboard, fence, we already had 3 loads of dirt, put in a new tile. The infield's grown in, grass isn't watered. You guys want to put a new pickleball court in, but how's it going to get taken care of? The horseshoe pit was run down, and then Sean Furno comes out there, he fixes it up. You know, we don't take care of what we got. I don't know how you guys put new stuff in, you don't take care of what you got. The soccer field, you got a soccer field that you built on the other side of the trees. Why can't that be used for the soccer field? That's not big enough, make it a little bit bigger. It's wide open for them. As far as the infield, we had Little League tournaments there years ago. Put the base pads on the second base, we moved the mound in. We did it all the time, put a snow fence in. Did it all the time. Softball, men's league softball, that's where we played, was on the fielding field. You had home runs in too. We had really only had 2 home runs per game after that was an out. And that's what it was, we went to state and district softball. Martin knows that, he played as well as I did.
What I was getting at with the home runs, Joe, is they're going to the small fields, which are 150 feet.
That's fine.
So they still play on the, they still play on the field.
But look how that Legion field looks. It was the best, we were told it was the best in the state. Legion was here, that's why we was awarded it.
And I agree, and I don't disagree.
Just turned to shit.
We've had signups and signups and signups for years and years and years. And on the, of course, I haven't, because I'm not part of it. I know Brandon is part of the Elks and the Legion. Well, I should say the Elks part of it, but, you know, with the Legion sign up, you know, they.
It's tough. O'Neill fights it.
Yeah,
I never
yeah,
thought I'd see
exactly.
O'Neill fight. I never did think I'd see O'Neill fighting, and they're fighting as hard as we are.
Yeah, O'Neill had what?
I think it's a participation situation, because I know when I was on the council last time, Bruce, you can remind me, I mean, we spent money on dirt, clay, all kinds of things at the request of your organization, so.
It's a lot of things, it's not one.
It's not just funding, it's
Yeah.
participation issue.
Well, it is, it's everything.
Because we had 3 kids go play in O'Neill because we couldn't get enough to play here.
So Brandon, can I ask, what'd you have for, start with T-ball, how many teams you have this year?
All right, this last year we had 2 T-ball teams.
Okay,
We had one, we call it rookies.
that follows T-ball,
Yep, be like 7 and 8 year olds.
okay,
And then No, there was no rookie team this year, then there was one 9 and 10-year-old team, and one 11 and 12-year-old team,
So 4 teams.
4 teams.
To give an example, 2 years ago, we had 18 or 19 playing Little League. 2 teams were. But, all right, we're finally gonna be able to move a team up to Pony League, which is still a step below but could have played on.
So yeah, after
That's
the-
going on. Hey, we're gonna finally have a group big enough to move them up to ponies, keep them playing. They had 7 or 8 sign up, and it fell apart, and once those kids quit playing, outside maybe 1 or 2 who are willing to travel to O'Neill or wherever else to play, they're gone, and you don't get them back. So that was our best chance in the last, I don't know how many, to actually bring a team up and through. We fought that, we've had double the class sizes, we still fought to go on road trips. We'd have to pull a kid out of the hayfield to get us to 9 or 10 so we could head on a road trip to play. We fought that.
I think that happened
Years
last
ago.
time they had a team, because I know Logan was recruiting friends, they had kids from Bassett, they had
Yeah.
kids from Springview, or
I think a lot of it is,
Aiden, I think, was coming out of the field to play. Like,
I think a lot of it, the kids, I'm not gonna say feel pressured, but if a football camp or a basketball
Oh, yeah.
camp, or now we're playing summer league basketball, we're traveling to Omaha, Lincoln, Kansas City and all this. And that's, I really think that's a lot of it right now.
The culture's
Can you-
changed.
the culture.
Because I know
Part of it.
the last time we had a
baseball
girls
player,
softball,
they get on a traveling team for baseball somewhere.
last time we had a girls softball team here, I told my girls, hey, we're traveling all over the world for you guys to play volleyball and basketball out of state. I'm not coming home on a Wednesday and a Sunday and traveling to South Dakota to play softball too. I said, it's just,
That was my next question, were there any girls softball teams this last year?
They haven't had that for,
since about
5 or 6.
2000, shoot,
So it's
6
been a
years
while.
ago.
And then how many of these adult softball leagues or teams are there local?
Oh, I think
Ten.
he's bringing in like,
There's
I mean,
10,
how many local teams
4
are
or 5, I think.
4, I think, for sure.
4 or 5?
no, I mean, as far as the tournament's concerned.
no, he said local.
How many local
In
their
teams
league.
playing softball?
There's like 6 or 8 local on that Sunday league or team, right?
I was thinking 4 when I do the
I know more,
schedule.
Sean has
Maybe there's-
2.
Maybe there's
Sean
more
has
than
2.
that.
There's the
Speed job feedlots,
Cobras,
there's 6, and then
Okay.
the GJW, so there's gotta be at least 6.
and then first class had a
First
team.
class, yeah, so there's gotta be 6.
I thought there was like 6 or 8 teams, and then like what he's bringing in October, they're coming from like Norfolk, Rapid City, you know, all these places.
That really is the key. You've got somebody who's really
Yeah.
It's on his-
roping it in, you know, getting people rounded up,
Can
getting things coordinated.
Could you check, did they play softball with just removing the mound? I don't know what those softball,
I think it was if you, I mean, you're not gonna wanna run grass, dirt, going to second, third.
Or
But
like
like, can
Jimmy
you-
said, if there's a sprinkler head as you're
Yeah.
sliding into second base,
Can you play Legion ball on a
Yes,
dirt
dirt.
infield?
you can.
So it's not like, not the end of the world if we happen to somehow get a Legion team again someday.
You got the issue of the mound.
You just have to
Well,
do
you
something
could-
with
And
the
they
mound.
make portable mounds that are fairly inexpensive.
Do they?
So you could put the mound back in if by some chance we
Right.
get,
You could.
because right now it's just rotting away over there.
Yeah.
like I said, we just come because there were some people that, asked and, people are wanting to use it. Right, so we discussed a little bit, and so that's mainly what I wanted discussion, and that's why I wanted to maybe publicize it more so we could hear more from the public. But,
So you're not asking us for a decision tonight, but this gets the discussion going.
well, I'm sure there are people that want a decision tonight, but
Do we need to do a formal discussion, public meeting, something like that?
No, Greg, and I'm sure Greg's gonna put it on the radio, and Ron's gonna put it there. Do you mind to have them call you if you have any concerns, or a council member, or
I don't have no
whatever?
problem with that. I am the board chair.
So we had a gentleman that said he would do all the sod removal, dirt removal, haul it all
Free.
away, everything for nothing.
So it's gonna be,
The expense, the only thing I can see is, I don't know nothing about underground sprinklers, I call people for that, but is whatever it takes to.
Dig them down and
take
cap
them,
them.
cap
You'd
them.
have to run it, flag them, dig down and plug it.
So-
What about the dirt, the red dirt out on the base pads, through the base pads, and then on the infield, you're gonna just go dirt, red dirt, and grass, or how are you gonna do that?
well, that's a great question, because that's another thing is, because there's red dirt there, and it'd be kind of pretty big area to fill. I don't know where they use all the red dirt, there is just a little bit of red dirt, not very much back
I know, yeah.
behind there, and I don't know who owns the red dirt.
I think that's E&L's,
I
isn't it?
think,
That's what-
yeah, I think we got some grant money
Yeah.
a few years ago that, to just to have, to fill in holes and
Yeah.
to have the, yeah.
Because you definitely want that instead of just dirt.
If I remember right, that came out of Minnesota, is that?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so.
Comes out of
Yeah,
Shakopee.
ABC.
And you go get it,
Comes out
Mark?
of Shakopee, Minnesota.
Didn't you go get it, Mark?
Did I go get some?
Didn't you go get it?
I went, yeah.
The last one, I think, but.
Yeah, I think we called Kaiser.
Yeah, he did.
Kaiser was always coming out and getting it because in their route system, so Kaiser's always going down for,
So-
when we needed a load or two.
Didn't bring that.
Yeah, I think
We got the Elks here, but you guys kinda got them from sixth grade on down, right?
basically, that's what we
Ponies on up
focus
would be
on.
Legion.
Yep.
So, don't really have, I mean, we don't have anybody officially from the Legion.
And I will tell you, I didn't go to anybody with the Legion. I did not. Because my thing is, I wanted, like I said, when I went to Joel, and then he said he wasn't sure how it went, and I talked to Lisa, I wanted to have public opinion before I came to this meeting, but it didn't happen, and so here we are, and so.
I talked to Rudy about it, he's on the Legion, and I told him about the meeting and stuff like that, and I thought maybe he could be here, but he's not.
So I don't know if you guys want to
He told me he was gonna be.
publicize it a little bit more, get public opinion, or what you guys want to do. I mean, it is a recommendation, but the recommendation was to get public opinion about it.
Well, we can reach out to the Legion and see.
I know the guy that's running the softball tournament, like you said, he'd like to use it as a softball, get it.
This fall.
Well, but for our, and whatever that term is in
I
October.
don't know, October something.
I don't see how you could ever get it done by then.
I don't think it'd take, but the pill sod up the skid steer, don't take very long.
But you also gotta find the right dirt to
They got to
cover
bring
it
some
in.
red dirt in, so I mean, obviously he has a month. You could probably pull it off in a month, I would think, but there again, I don't know.
He's pretty motivated on having an additional field for his, to play
Tournaments.
Well,
on.
if nothing else, if they could get by for 1 year, if you just were able to do something with the mound, and I understand grass isn't
Right,
ideal for 1 year, but.
Like I
maybe
said, I think that's the way with the
mound
park
and-
board, I mean, we're more on public opinion of, that's what we're here for, we're here for the public, we make recommendations.
Well, I'd really like to see it used for Little League, softball, anything other than just sitting there rotting.
And I think that was the consensus of the park board, correct?
Yeah, and I think
Using
the
it, getting it used.
It's not,
concession stand ladies would like it over there too, 'cause
Yeah, concession stand.
they want a bigger concession stand.
Yeah, so they don't have to pull that little trailer about as big as this table and work out of it. So there, I guess that's what,
Well, appreciate it, yeah,
you guys have, these guys, Brandon and Bruce are on the park board, anything else to add to it?
Yeah, it's kinda good, but I'd just like to see it
Just the
getting
sprinklers and the
utilized.
Well, and, we all would like, or I shouldn't say we all, but I think the majority of us here would like to be able to get the baseball field going if we can. But it's never gonna be like it was. All right, I'm gonna use this as an example. The first year I came to work for the city, we had at least 3, if not 4, girls softball teams of different ages. We had t-ball. We had, everything was going. The first year I was out there, we did 105 games in 45 days. And we did not have anywhere near, other than the Legion field, the facilities that we have been able to upgrade and do what we could with them. But no one hates to see the program in the shape that it's in more than me. Because I've always been a baseball guy, and I still, to the day I die, will think it's the best thing that young kids and women playing softball can do when they're kids. But there's just so much other stuff going on right now, it's just gonna get harder and harder and harder. But having said all this, I want everyone in this room to understand that whatever decision we make, I will do everything within my power to try to get things shaped back up again.
You go to the softball leagues, and there's a lot of younger people playing softball now. If you watch the league on Sunday night, or even the tournaments that come here, we're talking like 20-year-old kids out there, 18-year-old, I mean, your son would love softball.
Do you have any old guys?
Me?
We're getting a team next year, the mamas and the papas. You gotta be over 45.
I lose my chance to get him on the golf course, and he'll play Sunday night, every Sunday night hurts himself, and he can't go.
I got smarter, I went from outfield to first base, you don't have to do as much.
That's great.
Anyway, that's what I have.
Well, this ought to start the conversation. It'll get reported, it'll get started in the public.
And the recommendation of the park board is to move forward with
Removing the
transitioning
grass.
to multi-use.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, yeah,
Multi-purpose field.
Yep.
yeah, I was concerned about the sprinkler, but that we, like Kent said, you can cap those, cover them and stuff, and then we get the dirt situation taken care of, and that mound.
It's probably not gonna happen.
Short term for sure,
Is
it's
this-
certainly gonna be utilized more of that one. Long term, our class sizes aren't getting any bigger.
And the more it gets
Same way,
used-
I'm a huge baseball guy. It killed me when they lost that team that I thought, hey, we could probably push a pony league team through and
I
keep
remember you
going.
talking about
That
it.
fell apart, and that was it.
Once it starts getting used, then it'll start looking better, it'll start getting taken care of better and stuff
It's
like
a
that.
beautiful field.
Jimmy does an excellent job out the park anyway, so we know.
We hosted what, a Valentine O'Neill matchup a couple of times
I was gonna say something.
over the last few years. Valentine and O'Neill meet here.
Didn't Boyd County or Chambers Wheeler or somebody use it?
So we're tabling it until next meeting then, or what do you?
I'm wondering if, would it be worth having just a public input meeting? Just like when we have open houses for the highway project? Folks come and talk about having trees on Main Street.
Joel, if you
How'd
do
that
this,
work for you, Joel?
if you do that as like a special meeting, because if there is any kind of goal to try to get it done before whenever in
That's what I'm
October.
thinking.
He wants it done before the tournament, if at all possible. I know he's pushing forward to this.
So you'd
Quite
need
a few
to
teams.
give this a couple weeks to marinate, set your public, set a special meeting for public comment.
The only
Hear
thing
what
I
you
say,
get.
the only thing I say to that, Dustin, where's he gonna get the dirt, the proper
Yeah.
dirt? Where's he
For
gonna?
this first tournament, would it have to be the proper
No, I
dirt?
don't think it would be.
I don't think it'd have to be the proper dirt or what.
For this first tournament? If they just get that cap, the sprinkler heads, get the mound tore off, and there you
Saw it
go.
out.
Cut
You
your,
know,
cut your side
I
back.
just wanna let you know though, being on the park board, just wanna let you know, if we would get a 2-inch rain.
It's gonna be a quagmire.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
bad.
you're right.
It's gonna be bad.
Bad news.
You know, there's a chance that, with the farm people that I know, that there's a back
So
hole somewhere.
maybe this,
His tournament's
maybe
October
this fall
5th.
you should play on the grass.
We're gonna get that as a special
We'll just leave it there, I know what he wants to do, like I said, there's more than one people that have asked to kind of basically turn it to multi-purpose.
Right, but I mean, just for this fall.
Yeah, you can play there.
What about, what's the grass thing we're gonna approve?
Turn that grass out, makes it rain, turn the grass out.
Joel,
Well, they'll take the sprinklers out.
his tournament's October 5th.
Oh, geez, okay, that's.
Oh, geez.
3 weeks.
It's not
But I understand, but that's why I came here 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago and asked Lisa if we can get public opinion so we could make it done.
But even if you had a decision tonight,
It would've been able to get
I
done.
don't know if you'd have that
Just-
done.
Sometimes I think we delay stuff that we don't need to delay, and so,
Welcome to good.
that's what I said.
So that's what it is.
Well, what do y'all think?
Me personally, I think just tear the grass out, and cap the field be done. That's okay. Just use it. I drive by it every day, and there's weeds, not weeds, but it's just, you can tell it's not being used, not that it gets.
Sprinklers aren't, the sprinklers are not working right.
They're not right now, no. The
It's like
control
the-
box is.
Yes,
We're
It
waiting on
runs
it.
the whole field?
yeah.
Yeah, we're waiting on a new one. That's why, part of
That's why-
why it looks down there.
That's why it looks pretty rough.
Any boxes gotta run that many heads.
Joe,
Yeah.
One suggestion about cutting that sod out, what I've experienced when we did the Little League field, is just go ahead and kill the grass and then cover it up. You take that sod out, you get that much more, but of course, I'll keep you take your sod out, but if you take it out too much, that's that much more dirt you're gonna have to fill in. So we've been better off, in hindsight, just to kill that grass where that dirt goes and then cover it up. Take a lot less dirt.
And then lower short or get
Take
it
a
off.
lot less dirt.
It's about dead right now, it looks like.
Maybe they could just mow it off,
Start using it.
just mow it
Is that a
down to
motion?
nothing now and use it the way it is.
Mow it short.
It'd be like a good field.
You were
How
suggesting?
deep you gonna put it, because otherwise you're gonna have to keep spraying it.
You wanna make a motion on what you thought should be, if it passes?
Oh, tear the grass out? Or what?
Doug, if you spray it with Roundup, it's done.
You'll have weeds and stuff in it if you don't take out the sod and stuff, I think. I mean, depends on how thick you're gonna put your dirt and stuff.
You get weeds coming up on your outfield now anyway, so it doesn't matter if you spray it or not. If you spray it, it'll kill it.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion, tear the grass out, make that baby a multi-purpose field. And cap sprinklers, is that what you need?
Well, yeah, or you
How
can
is
just,
it-
you can
how's
make a
that?
motion to approve the park
Board's
board
recommendation.
recommendations. But however you like to do it.
Being able to take the grass out, cap the sprinklers, add dirt if they need to make it a multi-purpose field.
That's a motion?
Who's doing all the work?
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah.
Who's doing all this work?
Sean Furno.
Working with our park superintendent, I'm assuming.
We're a recommendation committee, we send it over to you guys.
Administrator, any thoughts?
I still feel that, you know, we have these committees out there and we appoint these committees and to do the legwork for us. And I think sometimes we overlook what their legwork is and we maybe throw them under the bus once in a while. And, you know, that's what we got these committees for. And we're supposed to trust them on, you know, doing the research and stuff like that. So I would second Dustin's motion.
Got a motion and a second, everybody clear on that, what it involves? Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Brad,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Can I start working on that tomorrow?
We ought to get a little rain here
I
before we,
think so.
before down the road.
In all honesty though, do we need to contact you, Lisa?
it would be
To get
nice,
started,
just so that
And
Jimmy
then talk,
can
and you talk to
coordinate.
Jimmy, or,
I'll visit with Jimmy and
okay,
I'll have him get in
And-
touch with you.
I do think kill it and mow it off and just play on that old sod this fall. But
I think that
it's
would
gonna
be, I
be
think that would
really
be,
tough to get that cut out, haul dirt in and all that before
well,
October.
there's gonna have to be some type of scraping of all the stuff that's on the dirt right now anyway, since the sprinkler, I mean,
I was gonna say,
There-
you're
there's-
gonna have
it's
to
gonna
deal
be-
with sprinklers
there's
first.
probably gonna have to be a little bit of a, type of a box scraper or skid steer out there to take out the sandburs and all the other stuff that's out there.
Do we have any idea when that sprinkler, control box will be here?
I don't know that I do. I know Jimmy was talking to Grant to try to get that ordered and coming, so no, I'm not sure the timeline.
Because as dry as it's been, as hot as it's been, it's pretty tough out there.
Plus, there's no way to fire it up and flag the sprinklers so you know where to dig and plug for sure.
Aren't they over there?
All right, we'll move on. Pay some bills. Consider a pay application for Myers. Number 6, man. I don't remember the first. I thought we did 2.
They've been
This is-
fairly large, Joel.
I know.
I was gonna say,
thought there
I
was
can
2 big
remember
ones.
them. This is
the last
this,
one, isn't it?
This is the final one for the North Main project. So this will be it for Myers.
You did your walkthrough.
We did the walkthrough. There was a couple of things noted, I guess Joel was on
Yeah,
it
did they
too.
fix those? Those minors.
It was like in the right of way areas of things that they needed to clean up.
I think it was brought up maybe last meeting, I think John, about painting the stripes for parking in front of the library and stuff like that. Is that on us, or was that part of
That'll
that?
be on us.
That is on us.
Yeah.
I see the handicaps have been painted.
Jake and I have talked about that, so
Okay.
it's on his radar.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. So you're not holding any back. This is.
Nope, this is it. This is
and
the
you're-
10% retainage that we have been holding
The
back.
city's
every
good
time.
with everything. I move that we pay application 6 for Myers Construction in the amount of $661,536.26.
Second.
Motion and a second, any other discussion?
Where'd the $164 overrun come from? On over $2 million deal. Pretty good.
That is good, call roll.
Kent,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Probably on seating, honestly. We kind of had a heck of a time with
Yeah.
seating some of those areas.
Unanimous decision to pay the bill. All right, moving on to consider a street closure for the, I think this is for the bed races. October 26th from 6:30 to 11 on 3rd Street.
This doesn't affect the third along the intersection, right?
It would be up to the alley to that.
So along the street to state, okay. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second for the street closure on East 3rd Street. Right, East 3rd, or 3rd Street anyways. Go ahead and call the roll.
Dustin,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Bed
Provided I
race
don't
is
have
coming
to,
back.
provided I don't have to
I
participate.
think it's four-man team.
I'll be
You
gone.
guys could, I mean, we'd have to have a special meeting.
yeah.
No,
I move
Joel,
to
it's
reconsider
a
the-
5-person team. Somebody has to ride the bed. There's 4 pushers and a rider.
Well, there's
There you
5
go,
of
you
them
got a
there.
team.
I've won that a few times.
I'm not sure back.
They have some beds.
Alrighty, next item is, we talked about this last month. And we consider ordinance number 1562 to change salaries of elected officials. I think wrote up what you guys had talked about last month, and now it's in ordinance form. I don't know if you've had other thoughts since we discussed it before, or additional.
The only thing that we talked, that's different from what we talked about at the budget workshop, after talking with Michael Scholes, he did some more reading and determined that starting in December, the way the language is, any start of a council term applies to all council, but the mayor's term runs with the mayor, so the mayor's increase wouldn't actually take effect until the new mayoral term starts in
Tell the
January.
next mayor.
You're gonna run again.
So that's the only, I guess, change from.
And that's the way we want it, or that's just the way it is?
That's just the way it is, I think.
You have to pay a filing fee, and that's based on the 4-year term. Your filing fee is based on what it's gonna pay for 4 years.
No, I don't, Joel, I don't have any different thoughts.
So the difference, it's going from 200 to 300 for council per month?
150,
150 to 300.
and then the mayor's is 300 to 500.
Nothing for special meetings, correct?
And I think we talked about this at the budget meeting, but I'd recommend not waiving the 3 readings. I don't know if it's controversial, but it's not gonna take effect for several months.
I don't wanna waive the 3 readings on this.
I agree.
So we're just yakking about it now.
So, yeah,
Well,
maybe
that's a-
introducing, somebody needs to introduce it.
I'll make a motion make a motion
I don't
to,
think, I don't think you have to
Approve the first reading. Yeah,
approve
you
the first
approve the
reading,
first
thank
reading.
you. Yeah, you're right, I'm sorry.
okay. I make a motion to approve ordinance 1562 to change the salary of elected officials.
You approve the first
You approve
reading.
Approve the first reading for 1562 to change the salary of the elected officials.
Second.
Motion and a second, any other discussion? Call the roll.
Doug,
Aye.
Brad,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Dustin.
Yes.
You guys are really enthusiastic about that.
If we have to put up with you, it's not enough.
Like all the people are gonna be building houses in town now so that they can run for these flush positions.
We could have went for the
It needs another
Commissioner-
zero to
commissioner-
add
yeah,
up to
you want a
commissioner's
commissioner's
wage.
Commissioner money.
Yeah.
Now they get
All right, moving on to
insurance.
the last item on the agenda is Lisa's report.
Yeah, really nothing new here. It's kind of been business as usual at the city office, nothing extraordinary outside of budget and fiscal year end stuff. Kelsey, we keep working with Kelsey, she's doing a great job. She's been going out, she's been posting some notices, I think mostly to do with grass and weeds and that kind of thing to kind of ease into it a little bit. I think her thoughts are that soon she'll maybe transition and start doing some more nuisance.
I actually did start on some property nuisances, so I follow up next week, and depending on if they complied and corrected the nuisance, then my next step is to go to Andy and process it from there.
Thank you.
We have had, I think Kelsey can speak to it too, we have had good responses
Yeah,
so
yeah.
far, so, a big thank you to the community for working with us and responding on those and taking care of whatever Kelsey's identifying. So yeah, we've had good responses so far.
What about speaking of the city ordinance thing, the gentleman driving the golf cart around? Like, I don't care if he's driving the golf cart, but I've had some complaints where he just whips through the four-way stop at the school, doesn't even like stop or slow down to look. I don't know if you've anybody dropped off kids there, but people.
He's on the highway out by Madison yesterday.
I've heard that too. I haven't seen him, but one of the street guys mentioned it to me yesterday too.
So like, what do we,
So there's really only so
I mean,
much Kelsey can do with that because we can't do traffic stuff.
well, I'm not saying like that, but I'm just saying like, do we call the sheriff or who do we call, like, not that I'm worried about it, I'm just worried about.
If you see him on the highway, you should be able to call.
Is the golf cart ordinance, is that a state ordinance, is that a city ordinance?
Well, I
I
guess
should
I
look
don't
in
know
my
the
book, I
technical
did.
answer to that. The city ordinance does not allow for golf
Any golf
carts
carts, right.
at all.
But you see him other places, so I'm guessing that's
I
something.
don't
needs
know
work.
if state statute allows it and we have just chosen
Yeah.
to not
Okay.
include it, or if that is against state statute as well, but.
I'm not complaining about the guy getting around, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's gonna, like, he's on a, like, Luck's about to run out, I'm afraid.
I know
He does
he-
some sketchy stuff.
I know he's looking into buying something a little bit faster.
If you saw him walking around before
I
the
saw,
golf
I'd be
cart.
so like, yes, I'd
Yeah.
rather see him in a
Yeah,
blizzard.
he, what?
In a
Yeah,
blizzard?
he definitely needs the transportation, but needs to be reined in.
Somebody needs to educate him a little bit.
You can try that education.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dating, but some of you might remember old Seaver. Golf cart.
Huh?
Seaver was the last one that had the golf cart.
With the co-op
What you need to do is maybe sick Wes Luther on him, cause he always kinda controlled Seabrook when, at the time.
I don't think we're gonna control this.
But no, this one is a whole different cap.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's the-
Well, you know,
you're
I
right,
would
it's
say,
dangerous.
if you consider it a concern, we need to visit law enforcement, seriously, rather than joke about it.
I'm not joking about it, I'm just saying, like, I've had
Right.
complaints and they're like.
I mean, if you've seen people, you know, cutting across and definitely out on the highway, which is out of our jurisdiction.
Kelsey, I know you can't pull him over because you're not doing those type of stuff.
Right.
But if you find him like in a parking lot or someplace like that that's stopped, can you approach him that way?
Oh, yeah,
Because-
definitely. Or even if I can identify who he is and where he lives, I could even go and have a conversation with him and,
I think
Hold on here. You don't wanna do this.
No.
If we have a problem with the city, then we need to have the city contact law enforcement and tell us. That's where we need to go with this.
Okay.
Because trying to converse with him, I was in the post office with him where the postmisters tried for the second time. You will not get anywhere and it's just gonna agitate, so I think maybe you just.
So I think he thinks he's in compliant because he does have a red flag on his golf cart, so I think he thinks he's in compliant. But he's not.
This just needs to be referred to.
And it's probably just something we'll talk to Andy about and Andy, do what Andy does.
yeah, because I mean, there was one incident where I did try to comply with the sheriff's office on the gray area between city and county on a situation, and it was just, no, it's simply city, we don't respond to that, but.
Yeah, we're not getting a lot there, so we're just kind of going through Andy and hoping that Andy can help us out there.
Yeah.
Anything else, Lisa? or-
That's all we got.
So, very briefly, I was at the care center meeting, and you probably heard the notes, see it in the paper, on the radio. They've had a very good last month, had a good census. Things are going well. So, I'll let you know.
We've had a good year. All right, anything else for the good of the cause? If not, we're gonna adjourn the meeting at 6:45. Thanks.
Can we do,
Is that- Yeah.
can we do, I know it's tough for him, but can we do 7 next month?
I was gonna say 5 o'clock.
Well,
Tough for me
harvest
all
is,
summer
that's
and-
like, planting and harvest